So let's talk about how to learn English. By the way, welcome to exlenglish.com. My name is David. Today we're going to be looking at the plain English method, the scientific formula for English learning success, your daily English praxis, the mavens, top English learners that we've met over the years, and lots of other fun things like that. So go ahead, if you want to pause the video, let it load up for a little bit while you go grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of Coke, and then settle in for a chat, and we'll get started. Okay, you ready? Good. So, today we're going to be looking specifically at the cheat sheet. There's a lot of information already on the site with worksheets for you to download. This is the cheat sheet, a one-page summary of the plain English method, so you can print that off and stick it up right where you study so you remember what to do each day when you sit down to learn and practice the language to improve your English skills, okay? So at the very top of the page there, you can see that it says the scientific formula for English learning success. Now the scientific formula is very simple. There's two parts to it. It's just like any other mathematical formula that basically states that 10% plus 90% equals 100%. The 100% being your English learning success, obviously, fluency or whatever your goals are. And the first part is the planning process, because it's important before you start off that you know where you want to end up. Do you imagine taking a trip and not knowing where you're going? Obviously, before you head off, you need to know where you're going so you can buy your passage to get there. And unfortunately, a lot of students, they just start off they know they want to learn English, and maybe they don't have a clear objective, or maybe they even do, but they end up just doing what they see everybody else doing, and then they soon get frustrated because they're not reaching their objectives. We have a lot of students who come here every day for different reasons. Some lost the opportunity of a lifetime. They lost a job opportunity or a scholarship to travel and study abroad because they didn't speak English well enough and they want to make up for lost time. Others come to learn English because they know they're going to be traveling abroad in the next 3 months and they need to, gain some kind of survival skill to get by. Others want to take a master's or a doctorate test and they need to learn vocabulary in a specific area based on whatever it is that they're studying. Others come because they just like the language and think it's interesting and want to learn it. Others because, they just want a basic knowledge of the language so they feel more culturally aware. And others come even because their parents make it. So there's all kinds of reasons for studying English. And unfortunately, as you probably know, most students don't ever reach the point where they feel like they're speaking fluently or ever really reach their goals. And statistically, it's been stated that as much as 95% of those people who start studying English give up before they ever reach a basic level of fluency or success in what they're trying to accomplish. So that's why it's very important to get really clear before you even start. And then once you know what you're trying to accomplish, you create a plan to make that happen, and then set short, mid, and long-term goals so that way you can kind of see where you're headed and track your progress and see that you're making progress as you work towards that objective. So we've got worksheets for you on the site. You can download those later. We'll make another video specifically about that to help you out. I'm not going to cover that in this video because that's a whole other topic. Today we're going to focus on the second part of the process, which is the daily English praxis. Okay, this is what you need to do each day to learn and practice the language. This is the 90%. We said that the planning is the 10% because, you can sit down, create a plan in a day or two, and then if you just set it off to the side, nothing's going to happen. That's why it's a small percentage. It's very important, but it's a small percentage of what it takes to make you become a successful English speaker. And it's like, say somebody wants to lift weights and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They sign up at the gym, they hire a personal trainer, they go for a few days, a couple of weeks, they feel sore, the after a few days, they don't want to roll out of bed in the morning and go to the gym, and they soon give up. It's happened to me, I confess it, okay? Guilty as charged. But anyways, the people who are successful become, bodybuilders who win the awards and look really good. It takes discipline, dedication. They have to every day get up, go to the gym, and make it happen. It's the same thing with your English. If you want to become a fluent, proficient English speaker, then you're going to have the dedication and the discipline to study the language each day. That's why we call it a practice. A practice it just means that you do something frequently and habitually. And that's why it's so powerful, because you know that when you develop a habit, you do things without even thinking about them, like learning to tie your shoe. When you were a kid, it was really hard to tie a shoe. Today, you probably tie your shoe without even thinking about it, without even looking at your shoes. Same thing with driving a car. When you first start out driving a car, it's really complicated, really difficult. You're worried about hitting other cars. You're looking everywhere. You got to remember to turn on the blinkers. And after a while, you can drive your car while listening to the radio, talking to the person beside you, and not really thinking about it. It just becomes second nature. So the more you practice and develop these English skills, the better you'll become, the more natural it will become, and the faster you're going to learn, okay? You'll kind of be like a plane on autopilot. Get to your destination a lot more smoothly and easily. So that's what we're setting out to try to accomplish here. So let's talk a little bit about your daily English practice, the things you're going to do every day to reach your goals, okay? So that's what we call it, the plain English method. Plain, each of the letters stands for something that you need to do. The first one being prepare, okay? Prepare yourself psychologically, prepare your area, prepare your material. So that's why it's plain. The P stands for prepare. And then in this time, you're going to, like I said, prepare your study area, remove distractions, turn off your cell phone, your Facebook, and focus on learning the language. This is your time to reach your goals, make yourself successful. It's important to you, so make it happen. Also, gather your material, any books, notebooks, pens, MP3 players, anything you think you're going to need. Have them handy so you don't have to get up in the middle of your study time to go off and try to find them. As you go through the living room, you'll see your sister or somebody watching TV. You guys will start to talk. You'll start to watch the program. The next thing you know, 2 hours have passed and you haven't gotten any study time in because you've been busy doing other things. And then prepare yourself psychologically. Take a look at your goals. Remember we said you do your planning, you set your goals. So look at your goals so you remember what your objectives are, what you're trying to accomplish. And then think about what you need to do next, what you need to study, what you need to learn, what you need to practice to reach your next goal. And then write those things down, the things that you think of that you need to do, the things you need to study. Write those down. Those are your targets for what you need to do today. So if you have a to-do list or a day planner, something like that, or even using a site like simpleology.com, which I like, it's free. You can keep track of all your things that you need to do that day. And so write those down, make note of them, and you're ready to go. That's fast, okay? Just prepare your area, prepare yourself, prepare your material, boom. Then you get into the actual study time, which is the learning process, which is the L in plain. So you prepared, and now you're going to learn what you know you need to learn to take that next step. So if you're looking at your cheat sheet there's a few things that you can do. And remember that, if you have goals and objectives, you can reach your goals more quickly by just focusing on the areas that you want. So if your goal is to learn to, if you just want to learn some vocabulary words in a specific area and you want to pass a test and you don't need to develop your speaking skills, and it's going to be a lot easier for you, you can head straight towards that. Do what's important to you. But most of the students that we work with want to learn English to speak it well, to speak fluently, to be able to communicate, because language is communication. So I'm going to give you several tips here, but pick and choose what's important to help you reach your goals. Because there's 4 basic areas that you need to develop to become a fluent English communicator, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Most people, most English students I know, they read and write well, fairly well, but they have trouble speaking and listening, understanding what they hear when they listen to music, watch movies, things like that. And that's not really natural, because if you think about it, young children, the first skill that they develop is their listening. One of my daughters, when she was really young, even before she could speak, she came in the room one day and she looked at me, and then she turned around and she left. And I said, "Close the door, please." And she stopped, she looked at me, and then she turned and ran out. And I yelled out louder, "Close the door!" I thought maybe she didn't understand because she wasn't even speaking yet. But she came back, she closed the door, and she left. I was like, she understood what I said, even though she wasn't speaking. So children understand. You say, pick up the ball, do this, do that. They understand you. And then after a while, they begin speaking the words and the phrases, and then, as they develop their skills, and then they go to school to learn how to read and write, and finally study the grammar. So if you want to develop your English skills, then focus on developing your listening skills as well. Okay? So that's kind of what we're going to cover here. We're covering all those 4 skills. It's kind of like the guy who wants to weight lift. If you go to the gym and just work out your right arm every day and don't do anything for your left arm, what's going to happen? Your right arm is going to get big and strong, and your left arm is going to stay small and skinny, weak. So if you just practice your reading and writing skills like a lot of students do, you're going to develop those skills. You're going to be strong. You're going to understand that part, but you won't be able to develop your speaking and listening. So all you have to do is just practice those. So here's what I recommend you do. The first thing, you know what you want to learn to reach your goal. Find some material. If you probably already have a lot of English material in your home, go ahead, take advantage of that first off. If you don't have anything ready, that you can already use to learn the next thing you need to, and you can do a search on Google. For example, let's say you want to learn how to answer a telephone in English in a specific area, so type that into Google, or a search engine, telephone conversation, English lesson plan, or worksheet, or handout, or dialogue, words like that. Find a worksheet that'll help you learn the next thing that you need to learn. And then you can start studying that. Or even if there's a specific course that'll help you, for example, if you notice that you need to develop your pronunciation skills and you see a course that'll help you with that, great. So find a material that will help you reach your goals. The plain English method isn't, developed with a specific material in mind. You can apply it with any material, use any material you already have. So once you've got that, then go ahead, find a text, that you can read. That way you can learn vocabulary. Reading is a great way to increase your vocabulary. That's how I developed my skills learning Portuguese. When I came to Brazil, I reached a plateau where I could speak and communicate. I didn't really feel like I was learning, and then I discovered that by reading magazines, there were lots of new words that, aren't common in day-to-day conversations. But by reading specific magazines like business magazines or agricultural magazines, you begin to pick up new vocabulary words. So I'd underline them and study them and learn lots of new vocabulary. And the cool thing is that by reading them in context, you learn how they're used. So increase your vocabulary by reading. Find a text. Podcasts are great because you can find them easily online. Most podcasts come with transcripts for you to read along with. Children's stories. So find texts like this in the area that you want to study. And then if you can, also get the audio, because by listening to it, you also learn how those words are pronounced. So once you do that, you've read, you've learned it, you've understood it, you've listened to it, you're learning the pronunciation, listen to it several times, then go ahead and write out a transcript to help you grasp the sentence structures, how the words are spelled, that kind of stuff. So go ahead, listen to the audio, pause it, write down what you hear in short phrases. If you need, go back, listen to it again, work through it. You don't have to do the whole audio. If you've only got 15 minutes to focus and set aside for doing this, then set aside those 15 minutes, do as much as you can. Once your time is up, go back and compare what you wrote with the original transcript or the original text and see what words you wrote incorrectly so that you can correct yourself and practice spelling those words correctly. This will help you pay more attention to the sounds you're hearing. This will help you pay more attention to the way the sentence structures are formed, and it will really help you develop your language skills in this way. So once you've done that, you've read, you're increasing your vocabulary, you've listened, you're learning the pronunciation, you're writing, you're practicing the structures on your own, and then you're ready to start using it with other people. Now, if you don't know other people who speak English that you can practice with, or you're shy, you're still learning, and you don't want to talk with other people in English, then you can practice with robots. Find dialogues online to practice with a friend or with a robot, and practice those, okay? And also, study a little bit of grammar. I don't recommend you study a lot of grammar because a lot of times people get really stuck in the grammar, and then when they go to speak English, they always have to remember all the grammar rules that they studied to try to form their sentences, and it really kills their fluency. They might speak correctly, but they can't speak smoothly and fluently, and it really trips them up. So try to learn grammar as much as you can implicitly, but if you have a grammar question, or once you reach a certain phase in studying grammar is cool, because it will help you understand how the language works. But once you already know how to speak it, all right? Just like children learning their mother tongue, like we saw previously. Something that we found that really helps our students is the use of stories in English, because within the context of the story, we can add vocabulary words, we can teach the sentence structures, we can teach the idiomatic expressions, the pronunciation sounds. So like, for example, with our students, we create specific stories, and in the story, first we'll teach the words, we'll teach the sentence structures, the grammar part, explain the pronunciation, the idiomatic expressions they're going to see, and then when they hear it in the story, it makes sense. They understand how they're used, and then they can take and retell that story in their own words, which is really powerful, which we've created in the VIP members area here on EXL English. So if you'd like to take a look at that as well and join us there, that's also available for you as well. So that's what you kind of want to do when you're in the learning phase. First you're going to prepare, and then you're going to learn, and then the third part, the A in the plane, is activate it. Okay, this is where you're actually going to take everything that you've learned today and you're going to use it, because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. All right? So you have to practice. Practice makes perfect, and it also makes permanent. If you just know something in theory, then you're not going to be able to use it when you need it. It's like, if I want to become a good guitar player, I can read lots of guitar books, but if I never pick up a guitar and practice, I'm not going to become a good guitar player. I can't just read a guitar book and then pick up a guitar and start playing perfectly. I have to practice those lessons. It's the same thing with your English. It's not something you learn just cognitively by reading and memorizing information. You have to take it, learn it, use it, and make it your own. You have to activate the language that you're learning. Those new words that you hear, they become a part of your inactive vocabulary. You have to use them. Otherwise, remember there's a word, it's right on the tip of their tongue, but if it's not a part of your active vocabulary, then you won't be able to use it. So you have to activate it by using it. You can do this in several ways, okay? What I recommend you do specifically by learning English online, if you're using your computer, is you can get on blogs. You can read the blogs, listen to the podcasts, watch the videos. So take what you've studied, look for that in other places. Try to identify those new words, sentence structures, pronunciation sounds, online studying things you want. Why? Because if you're studying about things that you already like and enjoy about your hobbies, it'll make your English learning that much more fun. And you'll also kill two birds with one stone, because you're not only learning about the things you already like, but you're also studying them in English. And so you're learning English and you're learning about the things you like. Example I like to use is guitar playing, because that's something that I like, so it's something I'm familiar with. So you can get on, find blogs and sites about guitar playing, listen to the podcasts about guitar playing, watch videos about guitar playing. So you're hearing those words, you're seeing them written out, you're hearing the pronunciation, you're seeing the grammar structures being used. And then on the blogs, you can also leave comments and practice writing the new words, the new sentence structures that you're learning. You begin to make friends with the people, communicate with the people on the blog, in the forums. They answer, comment back. You can make friends with them, add those people to your social networks, and eventually get to the point where you can add them to a Skype or instant messenger where you can actually talk with them either through chat or even on the microphone. Okay, so find ways to actually use and activate the language that you're learning. So each day, it's not enough just to learn something. You have to actually get out there and practice it. If you can actually go out and talk to other people, if you have a friend, practice your dialogue with them, tell them your story, whatever it is that you're learning, use it and make it your own. Just like practicing that guitar so you learn how to play that song perfectly. So that takes us to the next step, which is the N in the plain English method. The N stands for network, okay, developing your network. This is kind of a part of the activation process, the using it, but it's a little bit different. So what I recommend you do is that you actively develop your personal English network, a network of people that you can practice English with on a daily basis. Every day you want to be talking with people in English. The sooner you begin talking with people in English, the faster your skills will improve, your English will take off. I know it's hard when you're just starting off or if you're unsure of yourself, but speaking is what's going to take you to the next level, okay? I know you're afraid of making mistakes, you're embarrassed of what other people are going to think, but think of it this way. Making mistakes is the fastest way to learn. If you make a mistake and your friend corrects you, then great, you just learn how to study, how to speak correctly. If they don't correct you, you're going to keep either saying it wrongly or you're just going to keep studying, thinking things the wrong way. It's like a scientific formula, you know? What happens when somebody creates a hypothesis? What do? They have a theory about something, so they create a hypothesis, then they create an experiment to see if it works, and then their experiment will either confirm what they already think or it won't. So if it doesn't work out the way they think, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or a wrong person. It just means they know how it doesn't work. And so then they can create another experiment to keep testing their hypothesis. The same thing with your English. So you learn something, you think you understand how it works, and you say, okay, maybe I can use this word here. Maybe I can use this grammar structure this way. Or maybe I pronounce it this way. And then you use it, and somebody will say, hey, yeah, that's good. Or they'll say, hey, no, this is how it's used. And you'll learn. So if you don't want to have too few people in your network or too many, you want to have enough people so that you can practice English with every day, but you don't want to have too many where you lose contact with people because there's so many people in your network. So I recommend that you have at least 12 people because that way you can talk to at least 2 people every day. If you can talk to 20 people every day, great, better yet. But if you're like the average person who has other things going on in their life, you have to work, study, and you've got family, then you may only have an hour a day to study. So take a few minutes, talk to the people that you know, contact 2 people a day. That way you can talk to everybody throughout the week. Because if you contact you only have 2 people in your network and you contact them every day, they're going to be, oh no, him again, her again, and they'll get irritated and frustrated with you. So you don't want to contact them every day unless they're really good friends. Hey, if they're really good friends and you want to spend a lot of time with them and they like spending time with you, great. Those kind of friends are awesome. But you don't want to irritate the people, but you also want to be in contact with them enough, frequently enough, where you can continue to develop that relationship. So try to work towards having at least 12 people that you can speak English with every day. These can be other English students who speak your mother tongue. These are great because you can ask them questions about English that you wouldn't know how to ask somebody who doesn't speak English. They can explain it to you. You can have other English students from other countries because they can, you won't be tempted to speak your mother tongue with them, and you'll be forced to practice your English and try to understand them only in English. You can have other English mavens. These are great because they're people who have already learned English. They've gone before you, pioneers, so to speak, and they can tell you what they did that worked and what didn't work. And then you can also find English teachers, people who, work in this area. They can explain lots of things, take away doubts that you have, answer your questions because they understand how it works. They work with other students. They know the same difficulties you face, that kind of stuff. And then you can also add native speakers. This is great because then you can improve your pronunciation. You can, for example, if you're a guitar player and you're on a blog with other guitar players, then that's awesome because, you know, you can talk with them about guitar playing. Or maybe you'll find students, you know, from who want to learn your language, like a native English speaker who wants to speak your language, so you can teach them your language, they can teach you theirs, and you guys can help each other out. So there's lots of ways that you can make friends with people online and practice your English. It's important, okay? So just do it. Don't even think about it. Just get out there and do it. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Once you've done that and your study time's over for the day, you've learned the language, you've practiced it, you've activated it, and you know you've been developing your network. And then to wind down, go ahead and evaluate what you've done. Okay? So think about what you did, what worked, what didn't work, what kind of things did you do, helped you, what kind of things, you know, weren't that great. So that way the things that are helping you, you can do more of, and the things that are hindering you can stop. Okay, you wasted too much time on Facebook just surfing around, you know, but you were on a certain blog that there were lots of great vocabulary lessons, or you were talking with your friend and they really stimulated you and helped you speak English better. So those kind of things you can do more of. So focus on doing the things that are really helping you and stop doing the things that are just sucking up time. Okay, so as you do that, also make note of your progress. You know, observe, okay, am I working towards my goal? Am I getting closer towards it? How far am I from my objective? What do I need to do next? What difficulties am I having? Were there words that I didn't understand? Okay, write those down. Were there pronunciation? Were there sounds that I couldn't pronounce correctly? Go ahead and write those down. And the next day, you can already focus on those areas and improving them. So you're already kind of preparing yourself already for the next day of study. And then finally, to wrap it up, just organize all the material, the new lessons that you found today on your site, so that way you can go back and review them later, which is important because if you just look at it once and then go on, maybe you'll forget it. So you can go back every once in a while and review that information, which is really important. So that's it. Plain English stands for prepare, preparing yourself, your environment, your material, learning, studying that material, whatever it is you need to reach your next phase, your next goal. Go ahead and activate it by practicing it with real people, real situations, using it in different contexts and situations. Networking, developing your personal English network so that way you have people to practice with, and then finally evaluate yourself so you can track, see your progress. This is really good because, you know, a lot of students, they're studying but they don't really see their progress, and so they feel frustrated and give up. You know, a lot of times your goal is too big. We'll talk more about that in our planning video, but just remember that this is really important. So you do all of these things every day. You know, let's say you only have an hour to study, you know, just break it down, 15 minutes for each of these key areas, you know, 5 minutes to do your planning, and then go ahead, 15 minutes to learn, 15 minutes to activate, go through another 15 minutes developing your network, and then finally evaluating yourself. Boom. If you've got 2 hours to study, better yet, because the more time you invest in yourself and your learning, the faster you're going to learn. All right? If you have a whole day to study, great, take advantage of it. Even if you only have 15 minutes, you know, wake up early, wake up 15 minutes earlier, study for a little bit. And then during the day, try to practice those things that you're learning. So that's basically it. That's a quick overview of the plain English method. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments here below the video, either on YouTube or the blog or wherever you're watching it, or you can contact me through the website. I look forward to hearing you. I'd love to hear your feedback about this video. If you already do these things, if you have other tips and suggestions, things that you do that help you, or, you know, even tell me about your English learning, what you've been doing, and so we can chat, communicate. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for listening. You have a great day. God bless you, and bye-bye.